Hello, 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 everybody. You like the silent film entrance, Courtney, hey? Honestly, my one of my biggest let's just start right out with complaining phase. Yeah, okay. Um, one of my biggest difficulties is with audio, like I don't know why, like picking right audio tracks. Computer, why are you being like this? Nobody else is on the internet right now. Why are you doing this? Um, well, and maybe it's a good sound check moment for everybody, right? I'm sure that I should put something on, like audio wise, but I did that last night and then almost immediately I got a notice from YouTube saying that even though I thought I had picked an okay song, like that was allowed, uh, it wasn't. So I had to fix that on the fly, which I did. Thanks, Bob. I feel like you would have already been subbed. Hold on, I gotta close. The fuck is still just dragging this computer down? Um, anywho, so we have an interesting, no, seriously though, I'm gonna check. Are we now at 1011? Also, thank you to everybody for the 1000 subscribers. Seriously, so amazing. Really appreciate it. Actually can't believe it. I am a cokeaholic, cokehead. I don't know what you want to call me. And this shirt I bought recently, um it's from Walmart and it was like $9, which is like how much a case of pop costs, basically. So I foregoed one case of pop for the shirt. Uh I let me just hold on. Holding my phone in my hand. Oh, that's what I was going to tell you guys. Okay, so we have a feel good story before we get to a feel bad story. I don't know that this, I don't know exactly how depressing this story is going to be, but I think it is going to be depressing. So that's why I'm pre warning you. I even put a little viewer discretion is advised on the thumbnail. But before we get started with that, I will tell a little bit of a happy story. Yeah, we are at 1011. That's so exciting. Holy fuck. Yes. Uh okay. Here's my happy story and then we begin. Oh, actually okay. Happy story. Happy story. Happy story. Oh, med check. I heard Vicky call it earlier. You hear that? There's one pill in there. That's a problem. Um, take your meds if you've got them. If you don't, now there's half a pill in there. Um, Well, you'll be like me tomorrow. Hi, Crystal. Anyways, so here's the good story. So my daughter, similar to me, struggles sometimes with school, different parts of schooling, and we work around that. Uh, Today she had to go in and finish up a presentation, not in front of the class, but separate to the teacher, so that she could pass social studies and be done with it. And she really didn't want to go. And I talked with her and I made a plan with her. I told her, I was like, okay, well, we'll just go. We'll say, you can say this, and then we'll go from there and give it a try. And in my head, here's what I'm thinking, right? Teachers, they're not all dicks. They really aren't. And so, like, if she shows up and, like, gives it a college try or gives it a shot, the teacher's probably going to pass it. I mean, if it's hinged on that, right? And so in my head, I'm like, and finally I said, uh, go talk to her about this. If it's not good, get her to give me a call and I'll talk to her. But she called me just moments ago, excited that she has passed her social studies class. She is done with it now for the semester. And I was very happy with her. So, again, it's not always about having perfection to turn in or to do, but just doing it. And sometimes that's enough, especially in school, because I think we can all agree, and this is no offense meant to anybody that's a teacher, but school ain't the real world. Okay. I did incredibly poorly in school, and I do pretty okay in jobs. When I have a job, I do quite well, considering I have no higher education. I've had many jobs that I probably shouldn't have. I'm not qualified for, except with experience. Anyways, so I just wanted to pass that on because it felt really good. I was really excited. I was a little worried at first, but then we just deal with it as it comes. And so she passed. Yay! And here's the thing, like some parents are maybe watching this like feeling weird, like she passed. Like my kid, we talk about A's or B's, or we would have been on this a lot earlier. Oh, well, that's not how my life works. And it's not how school works for my daughter, the way that we've set it up. But I am very, very, very positive that she will be a productive member of society. And she already speaks two languages. She doesn't like to talk about it, but she is in French immersion still. So as much as like I'm serious, I'm like, girl, I know you think you can't speak French, but you can. Okay? Anyways. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day today. A little reminder that I did post a video on the channel this morning early on Tuesdays. I'll be doing it on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So if you like the videos but you don't like to hear me talk, well, lucky for you, Tuesdays and Thursdays we'll be posting some videos. I still have the pill in my hand that I need to take, which is a great reminder to do that. Okay. So, after we've talked about the good stuff, the real stuff in my real world, we are going to go ahead and talk about the case that we're going to watch today. It's in fact two cases or two appearances, about 2.5 months apart, but I have both of them in full and I want to watch them with you. It may be distressing. I do believe that it has to deal with parental rights. So, uh, yeah, I just warn you of that ahead of time. This is in Lenawee County, which I think is in Michigan, with Judge Catherine Sala. So we'll start with the first appearance, which is shorter and was actually not the one that I had planned on showing today. But when I realized that I had the other one, I was like, oh, well, we'll watch the first one first, and then we will watch the second one. And I wish, here's the thing. I like learning.
Yes,
Ma'am, Judge, seriously, come on. Thank you. I love learning. I really do. And in fact, that was what was perplexing to my teachers because I went to school almost every day. Like I didn't skip school chronically, but I didn't turn in homework, but I participated very fully in class, almost too fully. Too much talking, a lot of talking. uh, you know what class I did do really well in though was law because um yeah, they were quite happy with it when I was able to spout off the way that I do. So, like I said, without further ado, we're going to watch the first case here, which is about 20 minutes long, and then the second case is going to be approximately an hour long. And I don't know if the first case has it here, but in the second case, there is a American Sign Language interpreter. So, an ASL interpreter. That is the main reason that I picked this case. I know we do interpreter cases sort of like it seems like a joke, but in reality, I think it's really interesting. And this is not something that we see all the time. It also reminds me of a case I saw recently where they had their own um family sign language, which was sort of crazy. Oh, you forgot your earbuds at Chili's? Can you go back and get them? Will Chili's have them? I hope so. I don't think the chat has anything to do with it, to be honest with you, Bob. It's mostly, yeah, other stuff on the computer. Anyways, so if you're just getting here, thank you for being here. Go ahead and click that like button, clock in for your shift, and tell me what you had for dinner. If you didn't like what you had for dinner, tell me what you wish you had for dinner. I have what else to drink but a Coca-Cola in my Coca-Cola shirt. I love this shirt. I need a new computer. I need about 2 new computers, to be honest. But we persist. In fact, I might need to just switch to StreamYard, but then we lose a lot of what we have. So we'll see. Hi, Sven.
File 23187. Okay, we're here for a couple of different things today. A pretrial on a father's case and a mother's initial disposition. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Okay, they're creed framing, not me. I swear, I'll dip off the screen. I'll dip off the screen. I'll dip the chat off the screen for a minute and see if it helps. Okay? I don't think it will. I'll do it. I'll dip it, dip it, dip it. Dip it good. What is this? And then let's see if we can start it again.
Here, denies, file 23187. Okay, we're here for a couple of different things today. A pretrial on a father's case and a mother's initial disposition. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Lee Heiss, lawyer, guardian ad litem.
Nastasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. McVeigh.
Megan McVeigh from the department, and I also have the foster care worker here.
Macy Moore from Catholic Charities.
Okay, will you spell that for us, please?
MACYMOORE.
Michael Brooks, I represent the putative legal father, Jacob Bliss. Mr. Bliss.
I'm Jacob Bliss. Michael McFarland, representing mother. Please introduce yourself to the court.
Cheyenne Denies.
Thank you so much. All right, well, we can take the pretrial first. I would note, I don't have a proposed case services plan or any kind of initial report as it relates to mom's dispo, so.
I did do those this morning. I have a signed case service plan and then also a couple of copies of a court report. I just didn't have time to send it out with it being so close together.
Were you able to meet with the mother about the case services?
Just the case service plan. We met at 1 o'clock right before this started, but this was the first time we could meet.
So we'll see what we might want to do about that in a few minutes. Let's tackle the father's case first. Ms. Thomas, any comments on this?
Your Honor, I believe that at the last hearing, at the preliminary hearing, Mr. Brooks represented that his client would, I believe, essentially like to release his parental rights. But given that we do have a parent who we would still be looking for reunification, that process looks a little different. And I don't know what Mr. Brooks' position or his client's position is on that, but we are willing to explore that a little more. But I don't know that we've done or gotten any information about a potential biological father.
Since that time, I got a call this morning from my client who said he has changed his mind and he wants a DNA test because he says he is not the bio dad. In fact, this lady was pregnant for 2 months before they got together even. And he just says he wants a DNA test, which apparently was ordered in Jackson County by the probate judge over there. And here is an order I was just handed regarding motion to remove name from birth certificate. Well, I don't think he was ever on the birth certificate, but he is on an AOP, which has been filed with the state, but he is asking that he be given allowed.
Oh boy, hold on. An AOP, for anybody wondering, is an acknowledgement of paternity. So as opposed to a birth certificate filing, acknowledgement of paternity. Oh, that's what that is.
Take the DNA test along with the child. I'm, if I may, Dave, would you show this to the judge?
Any objection?
No,
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Thomas, any objection to me having a look at this? I don't know if you've seen it.
I have not.
Doubt she passed.
Yeah, I don't know that Lee and I have. And I believe you said it was just a motion, Mr. Brooks.
It's an order from case file number 19-2090DS concerning Cheyenne Denias versus Jacob Bliss, issued by Judge Rapley out of Jackson. I'd be happy to read it to you if you want.
No, that's okay. I'll look
Something
at it
like
later.
that, or summarize it, and then I would pass my objection.
All
It
right.
orders a DNA test.
It's titled Order After Hearing Regarding a Motion to Remove Name from Birth Certificate. A hearing was held on March 12, 2020 regarding a motion to remove name from birth certificate, at which time both plaintiff and defendant appeared in person. For reasons stated on the record, it is hereby ordered that the minor child shall have a DNA test within the next 30 days to determine whether the defendant is the biological father. It is further ordered defendant shall pay all expenses related to the DNA testing of the minor child. It is further ordered all prior orders not in conflict remain in full force and effect, executed March 12th, 2020.
Well, truthfully, I don't know why they bother with the birth certificate, since that's not evidence of paternity anyway.
Well said, but I think the point remains that you would like cooperation in the DNA test.
Right?
All right, your position on that, Ms. Thomas?
I just, point of clarification, I'm sorry, and that order, defendant, who was the defendant?
Jacob Bliss.
Okay. And so Mr. Bliss is going to remain responsible for paying for the DNA? We're asking essentially for that order to be enforced?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe if
Okay,
you
as
ask,
in you have no objection, or okay, as in?
All right. Yes, my okay was to the no objection. Sorry about that, Judge.
I
Okay.
believe if you ask the mother under oath, she's going to agree that that is the circumstances. He is not the father.
Well, I'd like to hear from Ms. Heiss on this, because obviously this changes the trajectory of our case.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. I don't object to that being offered as evidence. However, the DNA test, was it performed then within 30 days of that order? I take it wasn't. But
No.
so I don't know what the barrier was at that time, but a DNA test that shows him to not be the biological father only goes so far. When we find the biological father, there may be a motion under the Paternity Act to relieve this person, the legal father, of his legal obligations. But as the child's representative, even a non-biological child can be held to the legal duties of a father, and I would not want to leave this child fatherless. So I think all that work needs to be done. If he, I think, was going to set his case for trial, you know, if he can give us longer to explore all this. I don't disagree with the legal father's point of view, but there are steps that we have to take, and just a DNA test isn't going to win the day necessarily. Was that a divorce case or custody case, or just that motion standalone in Jackson? So other questions that I want to get answered.
Well, it appears to be a DS case code, which would indicate, to me at least, that there may have been a support action instituted at some point.
Okay.
Is your client paying child support, Mr. Brooks?
He is not.
Ms. McVeigh, in your research ahead of the filing of the petition in this case, did you find that such a case was determinative on the issue of paternity? I'm not seeing the addendum that discusses all other cases, and maybe I'm just missing it. But did you do a search to see if there were any other cases concerning this child?
Yes.
Did you find this one?
No, I did not. I must have missed it since it was in Jackson County and not Runaway County.
I have the AOP number if it helps the court.
It does. I have in my notes and I'm still missing that.
AOP number is 20-190-158-18.
All right, Mr. Brooks, does your client have any idea who the father would be if it isn't him?
He says he does.
And the name?
Terry Andrew Donald.
Do you have any idea how to spell it?
Terry. Andrew, Andrew. Donnelly, Donnelly.
Do you know anything else about this person?
No, but he does live in Jackson. It's not hard to find. I know a lot of people in Jackson. I mean, I know it's not required to find it, but I know he lives in Jackson.
I made contact with Mr. Donnelly.
All right, let's let Ms. Thomas run the show here for a minute. Deputy, would you swear in Ms. McVeigh? Back to the
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Ms. Thomas?
Thank you. Ms. McVeigh, since our hearing on October 20th, have you had the opportunity to speak to either respondent parent about the potential genetic biological father of the child?
Yes, I actually made contact with him prior to filing the petition. He through Facebook Messenger, and he says he is, Mr. Terry Donnelly said that he is potentially the father.
Via Facebook Messenger? Oh. Is that enough? Is that proof in a court these days? Oh, well, somebody that I think is him on Facebook said that he's the father? Is that a joke? I'm like actually aghast right now. Like everything in this case seems just nuts. Hi, Blue Steel. This is and like I said, you guys, we'll see what happens. We have another hearing that happens. This was in, I don't know, October, maybe November. You're aghast. I'm aghast and you have gas.
But he's not sure.
Okay. And did you ask if he was interested in establishing paternity?
He said that he is potentially the father, but he's not sure.
Okay. And did you ask if he was interested in establishing paternity?
He said he's interested in participating in a DNA test.
And is that something that the department can assist in doing, or is there a barrier given there's a legal father?
There's a barrier due to having a legal father.
And if the department was to assist in paying for Mr. Donnelly's DNA test, would that have to be part of a court order?
Yes, it needs to be part of the court order.
And other than Mr. Donnelly, Nias or Mr. Bliss indicated any other person that may be the biological father?
Not at this time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, Ms. Thomas, just so you know, your mic is kind of cutting out here and there. We're getting it clear, but it's just dropping here and there, so.
Actually, Judge, it looks like everything's creed framing to me. Which is terrible. Or maybe the judge just sits with her head down all the time. I don't know. I went back like a second there. We'll keep watching. Okay, let's keep going. Also, if you're just getting here, hit the like button. Thanks for 1,000 subs. I keep remembering it in little bits.
I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you, Judge.
Questions, Mr. Brooks?
I have none.
Mr. McFarland?
No, Your Honor. I would like to call my client on this issue at some time.
All right, Ms. Heiss?
Just one question. Ms. McVeigh, do you know if the mother has been married at any time?
She has not been married.
Thank you. Thank you. Nothing for.
All right. All right, I would be inclined to grant in order to allow the exploration of DNA testing for your client, Mr. Brooks, as well as for Mr. Donnelly. But before I relieve him of his legal obligations to the child, I would like to see the.
Wait, what did she say? Why it's so jumpy, but it's a downloaded file. I'm not streaming this on the internet. So I don't understand. Of course, Chris. We are all thinking of you. We're a big family. We're all thinking of Mikey. We're thinking of you. We're thinking of me and my 1,000 subs. Okay, be safe. I don't know. I'm gonna dip off the screen. I'm trying to get this working.
Results of those tests.
Makes sense to me.
So what I would be willing to do for you is to adjourn your pretrial to be heard at a later time. And I can do that at our next review, or I can try to set it for a time before that. What would be your preference?
Well, I don't pretend to know how much of a waiting list there is to do DNA exams, but depending on what that is will determine my answer as quickly as possible. I get the impression my client and his family want this testing done as quickly as possible, which means my client's got to be tested and the child has to be tested, as I understand it.
Ms. McVeigh, have you done any DNA testing lately to have we've got another volunteer for potentially a little more information.
Just on the DNA issue.
All right, come on up to the podium and give us your name, please.
Sure. Kristen Smith, foster care worker, Catholic Charities. I'm here with Macy Moore. But regarding this issue, I've actually done a lot of DNA testing at our office. We reach out to the agency, they send the kits, we do the swabs and then send them back. And we've gotten results back in like less than a week. So I would at least ask for a month just to be safe, but I think that we could get the DNA test completed and back within 30
Well, I'm sure I could get my client there today, but I don't know about the baby.
We don't have a kit today. I have to reach out to the department first that does it, and they mail the kit.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Smith that we should keep her at the microphone?
No.
I have one question. So Ms. Smith, the procedure that you're.
Do we need to swear her in?
Just let's see what her question is if we're going to keep going.
Sure.
I was just going to ask, because typically when we get the DNA test back, we have a photo of the child, the photo of the alleged parent, all of those things. Is that the same process that the test you are speaking of provides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Suppose the next question is, actually speaking, do we have time for a pretrial in your case? Given the holidays, so let me look.
Judge, I know that we are set for a bench trial in this case on 11/28. I don't know if we could maybe turn that into a pretrial. I don't know if it does. Yeah, I don't know if it does good with whether DNA will be back, but you can hope.
Any objections?
No, Your Honor.
No objection.
My client will not have to appear, correct, Your Honor?
Yes.
And we take no position.
Very good. So we will conduct the pretrial then on November 28th at 2:30 p.m.
November 28th at 2:30.
And in the meantime, the pretrial order will reflect that the department is asked to conduct DNA testing for Mr. Bliss as well as for Mr. Donnelly and the child. Okay? Yes. Very good. All right, Mr. Brooks, are you going to continue with us this afternoon, or?
I have a 2:30.
So any objection to Mr. Brooks's request to be released for the day then?
No.
No
Your Honor,
objection.
I was going to ask his client one question, so I was intending on calling him for one question.
What was your question?
I was going to be that he met my client after she was already 2 months with child. So they had no, but the court wants that for another day, we can do that.
Yes, I would prefer that if you don't mind.
That'd be
I
perfectly
think
fine
our
now.
DNA test will answer the questions for us.
Okay, sure.
All right, so Mr. Bliss, you're welcome to stay if you like, or you're excused for today. We've dealt with the aspects of your case. You will be required to participate in that DNA as well as to rejoin us November 28th at 2:30. Any questions?
No.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Thank you, Your Honor. There you go, Mike.
Yep.
All right, Ms. Thomas, as it relates to mother's initial disposition.
Your Honor, given that we did not have proper of the court report or the case service plan.
Okay, hang on, and it might just be us in the courtroom, but actually your microphone is worse.
Sorry, Judge, I'm going to try to close out of some programs to see if that will help. Is it coming off bad still?
Not as bad as it was.
Judge, given that I don't have a court report or the case service plan, I understand that it was just a 10-day turnaround, making it very hard for that to be done promptly. I would ask for a quick recess so that it could be emailed to me. But otherwise, I would ask for an adjournment if we're not agreeable to a recess.
I do have some time a week from today. There must have been a jury trial that is now not happening. If that works for everyone. I also have some time, a pocket of time on Thursday morning, November 2nd at 9.
Your Honor, my client has reviewed it. I've discussed that with her. She has no objections to being ordered into the case service plan. If that sways anybody's opinion.
Do you have an issue with reviewing the court report that was prepared for today?
Well, I don't have the court report, Your Honor, so.
None of us do, I think is the problem.
Right, so. I hate to have dead time, but my client could be given credit for advancing. I don't mind adjourning and me doing the court report another time.
Well, are you available Thursday morning at 9?
I am.
Is everyone else available
Are you available?
Thursday night?
Yes, yes.
Ms. Heiss, would you prefer that we conducted it Thursday at 9?
Yes, I would also use that opportunity to meet with the child, which I have not done.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't need to adopt the case service plan today if it's Thursday or Friday. So.
Great. All right. Well, then I will grant the request for adjournment by Ms. Thomas, and we'll conduct our initial disposition Thursday at 9 a.m. That will give Ms. Heiss hopefully some time to meet with the child and all of us some time to look at the court report. Thank you for preparing one. And we'll go from there on Thursday at 9, all other prior orders remaining in full force and effect.
Okay, I think I found it again. I don't know why that happened. The next case that I had of theirs was, I didn't realize they adjourned it in the middle. But the next date that I had was on yesterday. But I do see they've mislabeled it, but Miss Natasha is there and she's wearing the same fucking shirt, which I find nuts. But look, I was just looking on my phone and there she is wearing that same shirt uh on November 2nd, which is was that the date? So October 30th was the first. Yeah, so November 2nd. Okay. So that's the next one. Okay. We got to watch it. You guys got to give me a minute. I got to pause the stream so that I can properly get this. Otherwise we'll be ruined. Talk amongst yourselves, please. working on my patience, but it's hard. I'm not a patient lady. But the right things, I will wait a long time. Let's pour my Coca-Cola into my Bubba cup while this downloads. I had to download it, you guys. But you know, Coke is hashtag not a sponsor either. I'm repping their shit for free. Ugh, I know. You should see the giant fireplace I have over there, William. Gigantic fireplace. Right behind. Wait, no. Is there a fireplace in this one? Nope, never mind. That's my other apartment. My other apartment. Fucking Jesus Christ. It's taking. If you're just joining us, we are waiting for something. I will tell you this. This video we're about to watch was mislabeled. In this courtroom, they have a very standard naming convention for those for their cases. It goes year dash case number. And they're really, really good about labeling all of their cases. So every single stream that they seem to have has a case number associated with it. So I thought I was being really slick and smart. And I got all the cases based on that case number. And so when they're saying like, oh, we're going to have this other case or this happening again, it says it's still processing. I'll receive it in mail. Well, fine, that's wonderful. Anyways, I thought, well, fuck. That's weird. Why didn't they didn't broadcast it? Then as we were sitting here, I went live and looked at the stream and they missed a number. So this case is 23-187 and they labeled it 23 computer, stop it. Oh, that's the video, that's the file done. Yes, 23-087. I was getting all pissy, but no, that's actually good news. That means that it's downloaded. Okay. Thank goodness. Okay. Well, it's just annoying because you'd never know. But when you listen at the beginning of this, it does sound like she says 187. So, without further ado, let's continue. It's beginning to look a lot like clutter in your folders.
Denias file.
Okay. I'm gonna see if I can't. Here, I'll turn the chat on and see if we can watch this without it skipping. I would like a gummy right now. I do not have a gummy. I do have a pen. I will suck on my pen. All right, let's hit play. Am I wireless or wired? For what? The internet? Oh, I don't have the computer doesn't have a LAN input. So I can't be wired. Has to be wireless. I need a new computer. I know that.
Two, 3, 187. Right, we are back on record this morning for the initial disposition of Ms. Cheyenne Denias. We have adjourned it to allow for review of the court report and the case services plan, which was received late last week, or at their last hearing, I should say. And
that was my light falling over. Yeah, I'm sure it's part of the issue. But again, I need a new. No, this is not a rerun. The Coca-Cola. Listen, I like this shirt. I like this shirt. What can I say? You're gonna see it many more times. When I find a shirt I like. Oh, you're talking about her shirt. God, I'm so. But they're not different numbers. No, listen at the beginning. We're going back. Guys, they've mislabeled it. 087. It's supposed to be 187. And listen at the beginning. She says case number 123-187. Let's listen carefully. Coke shirt. Yeah. I wear the same clothes often, just saying. But even I have less clothes available now in my repertoire because of the green screen. But this shirt is perfect for the green screen. I need more like red, I guess. All right, everybody, listen up. Okay, use your ears. Let's listen to what she says here when she's introducing what case it is. I guarantee you it is not 087, it is 187.
Denias file 23187.
Right, we are back on record this morning for the initial disposition of Ms. Cheyenne Denias. We have adjourned it to allow for review of the court report and the case services plan, which was received late last week, or at their last hearing, I should say. And I think we're ready to proceed. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here covering for Lee Heiss as LGAL.
Nastasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Moore, can you please state your name?
Macy Moore, Macymoore. I'm the foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Michael McFarland, representing Mother, please introduce yourself.
Cheyenne Denias.
All right, Ms. Berger, we look forward to the report whenever you're ready. Hope you'll need to unmute.
Sorry, I remuted. I have been able to conference with Ms. Heiss, and she was able to provide me with an update. She was able to complete a home visit on Halloween with the child, who's currently living with maternal grandparents in Jackson County. And her report will be filed as soon as possible. Also, I plan to file the coverage report as well. But she reports that the child is very comfortable with grandparents. He stayed there a lot during his lifetime, and that she would recommend continuing placement pending resolution of the criminal case, and benefit from all services. She also did state that we're giving some time for dad so he can complete a DNA test, but she reports no real concerns for the minor child or his current placement, and would like mom to hopefully benefit from services and work towards reunification.
Thank you. Testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. If Ms. Moore can please be sworn in.
The game, if you could swear in Ms. Macy Moore for us on Zoom, please.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Good morning, Ms. Moore. You say that you are the foster care worker in this case, correct?
Yes.
And you provided a court report with a signed case service plan. Are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to either of those documents at this time?
Not at this time.
Thank you so much. And at this time, do you believe that there is still a substantial risk of harm to the child if he were to be returned to his mother's care and custody today?
Yes.
And can you briefly elaborate why?
He is recently diagnosed with PTSD due to the abuse that he's had on his life, and they are working towards they are doing trauma-based therapy, and it should go till spring, and then they will transition him into normal type of mental health therapy. So at this time, I just don't think it would be the best move.
And so based on psychological harm and the physical, potential physical harm, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. But the permanency goal at this time is still reunification, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what are the barriers to reunification right now?
Completing the case service plan, I still need to meet with Ms. Dinius to do our bio-parent interview. We have it scheduled for tomorrow at 2:00, so that is a big one. And then just her participating in her services and showing benefit from the services.
And at this time, are there bond conditions preventing contact between mom and child?
She did just have a hearing about that yesterday, and I discussed with Judge Anzalone that if they were to change the conditions of the bond to do so, to allow the therapist discretion, see what the therapist has to say about Xavier seeing his mom.
Okay. And do you know if
Oh, fuck. Okay, I'll write that down. We'll find that case from Judge Anzalone. Not now, guys, but I'll just write this down. When did she say she talked to her?
Have a hearing about that yesterday, and I discussed.
So November 1st, because this one's November 2nd. Okay, November 1st with Judge Anzalone. Got it.
With Judge Anzalone that if they were to change the conditions of the bond to do so, to allow the therapist discretion, see what the therapist has to say about Xavier seeing his mom.
Okay. And do you know if Judge Anzalone did issue a modification of the bond conditions?
Yes, that is what she modified it to. They were trying to go just for visits, but then I asked Judge Anzalone to let the therapist kind of help us out here.
And to the best of your knowledge, have you or the agency made any referrals for mom to start any of the services, or has she done anything voluntarily?
I believe that she is starting parenting classes today, or she has started parenting classes, but we will make the referrals when she comes and does our bio parent interview with me tomorrow.
Okay. And the child remains in the relative placement at this time?
Yes.
Is that correct? And are there any additional needs that the child may have other than, mental health treatment?
Not at this time that I'm aware of, but we will still be looking into that.
Okay. And from my understanding, the plan would be for the child's therapist to make the recommendations for parenting time, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware of any therapeutic parenting time programs that the two of them could participate in when the time is appropriate?
I'm not aware of any, but I will look into that. That's kind of what I was going for when I asked, just so it's not all the way in the deep end. It's kind of slowly integrating into it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to bring to the court's attention today?
No, thank you.
Thank you. I have no further questions, Your Honor, and would move to admit the court report with the attached case service plan.
No objections.
No objection.
Thank you. They are received. Questions for this witness, Mr. McFarland?
I do. Do you have a proposed therapist in mind?
Yes, for the child or for the therapy visits?
How about for both?
The child is already seeing a therapist at the Child Advocacy Center in Jackson. And then the therapy visits, we have not looked into quite yet. I'm waiting to hear back what the therapist recommendation is.
Are you related to Brene Moore?
No.
Okay, just want to make sure there's no conflict. On my client's case service plan, I know there's quite a lot for her to do. If we were going to prioritize, where should she start her major focus? Where would you say?
I would say trying to participate in parenting classes, and I think housing and transportation is a big one as well.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Questions, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Thank you for your testimony. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Well, Ms. Moore, I did have a quick question. Do you have a psychological evaluation referral in the works for Ms. Denias?
I will have that for tomorrow when we meet.
Very good. And do you have a psychologist that you typically utilize through the department?
I would have to discuss that with other people from my agency.
All right. Typically, in my experience, Dr. Haugen is available for that purpose, but it takes a bit of time to get that analysis completed, but it is informative on services. Has the child had a trauma assessment or any kind of initial assessment on services?
He has not, but I am in the process of filling out all of the CTAC paperwork for him.
And finally, do you have the case number for the circuit court case?
I do not. Miss Dennis might got the order yesterday.
Okay, it's Denias, just so you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Do you know when the next court date is?
I want to say November 22nd, but I may be mistaken.
That's correct. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, any questions based on my questions?
None here.
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, everyone. All right, Mr. McFarland, anyone you want us to hear from today?
I've asked my client, she does not need to testify, so no.
Okay. Ms. Berger, anyone you wanted us to hear from?
No, Your Honor.
Any comments in closing?
Judge, just real quickly, I wanted to give you that case number for circuit
Yes,
court.
great.
It is 23-21547 FH.
Perfect.
And it does
Okay,
look like
all
the
right.
next pretrial is 11/22 at 8:30.
That's great. All right.
In fact, that's golden, I would call it. Absolutely fucking golden. Perhaps we'll watch the criminal case tomorrow night. We're not quite done here, though, guys. We have still 3 minutes of this, and then we have the main event for the evening with the ASL interpreter. I don't know who the fuck needs the ASL interpreter. I'm getting confused on that, but we're gonna find out. Also, if you're just getting here, hi. Tell us what you have for dinner, and hit the like button, please.
Ms. Moore, typically what we like to see on updates on that piece is a copy of the Register of Actions that shows us the progress, or at least some remarks in the court report on that point. So if you could be prepared for that at our next hearing, that would be great.
I can do that, Your Honor.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, any other comments then, Ms. Thomas?
Your Honor, we just ask that the court order Ms. Denias into her case service plan at this time to work towards rectifying those barriers to reunification. And it sounds like the meeting tomorrow will be really productive in getting those services started. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Likewise, also order the agency into the case service plan to assist my client, so thank you.
Any comments, Ms. Berger?
I have nothing additional, Your Honor. Thank you.
I have some time for our first regular review on Monday, January 29th at 10 a.m. So that's when your next court hearing will be. We'll give you a copy of the court order on your way out. It will have that date on it. That's when we'll look for our next court report and those updates 7 days ahead of time. At the end of today's hearing, Ms. Denias, we'll also ask for your email address. Typically our process here, Ms. Moore, also includes the parents in an email 7 days ahead of time to look at that court report. It'd be great if you could actually meet with Ms. Denias and go over her progress with her and the case services plan if it needs any modifications to prepare her for that review hearing, if you're able to do that. So that there's no surprises at the point in time when it's in front of the court. But in the meantime, I do find that all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's hearing, and that there are reasonable efforts being made towards the goal of reunification in this case, which is appropriate and necessary at this time. Ms. Denias is open to and is looking forward to services, which is great, as she works on housing, employment, parenting skills.
Nice, Steffi. That is awesome. I need to work on my diamond. Maybe I'll do that after, since I got such an early start on today. We'll see. I have to make a video for Thursday too, but maybe I'll do some diamond painting later. Love it. Um, a skeleton one. I love that too. Love it, love it, love it. Can't get enough of it. You guys, is Natasha, but how she says her name is weird, gonna be wearing the same shirt for the next hearing? That is the question. If she is, I actually think that's weird. That would be super weird to me. As somebody who appears on camera a lot, like in what we could call these meetings, I don't know. Sometimes sometimes I have to go back on the live streams and I look and I'm like, oh, that was 7 days ago. That was 14 days ago. That was so many days ago. Oh, that was only yesterday you wore that, Paisley. You're still wearing it. You can't wear it again.
And resolves those criminal issues that pose a risk of harm associated with returning the child to her care. The child will remain placed with his relatives. That is the safest and least restrictive at this time. Of course, Mr. Bliss is indicating that he is not the biological father. He's not asking for placement, would not like to have placement, nor is the other potential father asking for placement. So for all those reasons, the child will remain in his relative placement where he's doing well, pending our next review hearing. Thank you to Ms. Berger for covering for Ms. Heist, who was able to meet with the child and satisfy her applications.
Thank you, Brett.
And thank you as always to our advocates. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today. And we'll look at the case again Monday, January 29th at 10 a.m. You're welcome. If you want to wait just a couple minutes, we'll have a copy of the order for you.
And by the power of magic, editing / figuring it out, we are fast forwarding to that next hearing, the 29th. Let's see what happens. Did we think that she did what she needed to do? Did she work her service plan effectively? What has happened? These are the questions we have. What answers will we get? Let's find out, shall we? We shall. Oh, I'm so excited I did this. Good job, Paisley. Pat on your back.
Uh, 23-187. Yeah, I gotcha. All right, we are on record for a review. We also have a pretrial on our on the other parents, the father of the child, legal father, I should say. There's also some pending DNA issues, and we've had a brief sidebar on all of those issues, which is why we're coming to you a little bit later than usual this morning. And I'll let the attorneys add anything else to that as we get started after appearances.
Lee Heiss, lawyer, guardian ad litem. Ms. Sasha Thomas, counsel for the department.
Michael Brooks, I'm attorney for Jacob Bliss, the legal father. Mr. Bliss?
Right here. If you'd like to come up and have a seat next to Ms. Wilhelm, who is Mr. McFarland.
Yes, I'm Suzanne Wilhelm, covering for Mr. McFarland today on behalf of Cheyenne Denias.
Do we have Cheyenne here? No? Okay. No, also not on Zoom. All right. It does look like we have an ASL interpreter with us.
Hi, good morning. We have two.
Good morning. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Okay.
My name is Rebecca. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
No, that's great. I'm sorry. I'm not used to having interpreters, so I appreciate your patience as well. Ms. Thomas, could you address for us why we've asked our interpreters to join us today?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. it came to our attention that there is the issue with paternity. The legal father has claimed that he is not the biological father, and I believe that that was then confirmed by Ms. Denias. And then there was a named potential biological father. And to the best.
Okay, I just want to step in here. The captions are not me. Those are the Zoom captions. They're super behind for the recording, but they're not me. I can't turn them off. I could probably bump them out because they're annoying. They're just terrible. They're not even close to right. That's the worst part about the captioning. Ow! If it was right, fuck. Holy shit, that hurt. Ow. Okay, that hurt my finger. If it was right, then it would be one thing, but it's not. Oh my god. Okay, now I'm bleeding.
My understanding and recollection is that the potential biological father is hearing impaired and would need some support in communication.
Thank you, and I'm trying to make that screen in our courtroom more available. Okay, perfect.
I didn't get the daughter's name.
All right, I'm sorry, what was your name?
Macy Moore, I'm the foster care worker.
Could you spell that for us, please?
MacyMoore.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have that person with us as well today. Mr.
Oh, Maury fucking Povich. Ladies and gentlemen, are we gonna find out who's the father? Also, the father is deaf and he needs an interpreter. Is that what I'm understanding here? Wow. How did I hurt my finger? It's so weird. I was just grabbing my nail. I had like a tiny little hangnail on my other finger and I grabbed it and it went under my other finger and literally like stabbed under my nail. It was very, very painful. But all my own fault. Never happened before. I mean, I pick at my nails quite a bit if I don't have fake nails on. And that's why I like fake nails, in fact, because they keep me from doing that stim or whatever the fuck it is. But anyways, let's continue. This is nuts. Nuts.
Is it Terry Donnelly? Okay, very good. Well, let's begin with the issues around the legal parentage for the father of this child. Mr. Brooks?
Your Honor, my understanding is this DNA testing was ordered by this court in October. My client has complied. Problem is that the child didn't get taken for DNA testing until very recently. I understand the testing has now been completed, but because of the late time that got done, we don't have the results. I don't want my client to just admit to being a neglectful parent. I want him removed, dismissed from the case. So I'm asking for an adjournment until such time as we can get the results, which I understand will confirm he's not the biological father.
Ms. Thomas, I would like to hear about what's been happening with the delay since the order for DNA testing for Mr. Donnelly and for Mr. Bliss was entered back in October of 2023.
Your Honor, I would ask that Ms. Moore be sworn in.
Ms. Moore, come on up to our witness stand.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Ms. Moore, as it relates to the issue of paternity, can you provide us with an update on the timelines of when things were scheduled, who participated, and if there's any likely, any date that we can likely expect results to be provided?
Yes. So the original DNA test was in the beginning of December and the child had missed his appointment. The soonest that they could get us in for another appointment was January 22nd. last week. I would assume that the test would be back in relatively 2 to 3 weeks.
And when did Mr. Bliss complete his DNA portion?
I want to say December 4th. It was in the beginning of December.
Okay, and what about Mr. Don?
Same day.
Okay, and so the potential biological fathers, or the legal father, the potential biological father, did complete their portions?
Yes.
Okay, and was there any barrier to the child completing their DNA testing, or?
I think there was just a miscommunication of when the test was.
And you said you were able to resolve that, and the child now has done the test?
Yes, he completed the test on last Monday.
Thank you. Your Honor, I have no further questions.
No, it's not for the lady in the top left corner. The lady in the top right left corner is another interpreter. William's right. For sign language interpretation, it is incredibly taxing, and so they switch out every 30 minutes. So that's why there's 2 of them. The interpretation has been requested for the possible biological father, the potential biological father, who they are discussing right now. Oh, that's okay, Vicky. That they are discussing right now. I'm assuming that he is in the courtroom looking at the screen. Otherwise, I don't understand how this is effective at this point for somebody to be dealing with. But, you know, he's not actually a party at the moment. I imagine if he's found to be the biological party, or the biological father, then he will somehow be wrapped up into this lawsuit as well. However, just like it's not so easy to get out of a lawsuit when you've been determined the legal parent of a child, I don't know if it's that simple to get brought into one, even if DNA is conclusive. I mean, there's questions all over the place here. But the ASL interpreters, first of all, I think it's really like interesting to watch them. Secondly, I thought the mom showed up, and I thought she showed up from jail, but maybe I was wrong. Maybe I just got them mixed up. Let's keep watching.
Ms. Moore.
Any questions, Mr. Brooks?
No.
Ms. Wilhelm?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Heiss?
No questions.
Thank you for your update. I'm sure you'll be back in that chair in just a few minutes, but you're welcome to return to yours for the moment.
Thank you.
The request for adjournment would take us out to the next regular review, and I can offer to you the 9th of April at 9 or 1:30. Any preferences?
1:30.
All right, so the pretrial as it relates to Mr. Bliss as well as Mr. Donnelly will be heard on Tuesday, April 9th at 1:30. And hopefully by then we will have the DNA results back, so we'll know what direction to go on that issue. So that's all as it relates to Mr. Donnelly for today. Mr. Donnelly, will you be staying with us for the rest of the hearing?
Oh, no, that's for now. Okay. Yes, I'm fine.
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. So what I need to know is if we need to keep our ASL interpreters with us so that you can understand the rest of the hearing, or if you will be leaving, in which case I won't require them to stay either.
Yeah, I'm going to.
You want them to say?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and continue the interpreter, etc.
Okay, great. Well, that's good. Well, thank you, ladies. We'll welcome you to the rest of our meeting. I will continue to leave my camera off because that puts our interpreters in a better position in the courtroom on our monitor. And let's go to our review. Ms. Heiss.
Thank you, Your Honor. I visited with the child face to face. He's doing very well in his maternal grandparents' home, where he's been most of his life, except for a short period of time where he was in the care of his mother outside of their home. When he came back from those 8 weeks, he has been reporting. He reported to me. He's always has a memory, seems like, of the hitting, biting, and being in a cage. And he is doing his best to be a 4-year-old in school.
Oh! Oh no. Oh. Oh no. Fuck. How can you do that to a 4-year-old? How can you do that in 8 weeks? How do you get so fucking overwhelmed in 8 weeks? That's what I don't understand. You know, there's this like time and like energy that I understand goes into parenting, and that if you aren't all there, and that there's this issue, but 8 fucking weeks? You can't fucking fake it and not put a kid in a cage, a 4-year-old, for 8 weeks? I mean, that's a problem. We're gonna have to find this court case. I'm gonna have to find it on Anzalone, and we'll watch it tomorrow, I guess, and just drag ourselves through the ringer. I mean, what the fuck? Holy shit. I mean, I gotta hear, I gotta watch. I actually now I want to watch the interpreters. I want to watch them have to interpret this.
The hitting, biting, and being in a cage. And he is doing his best to be a 4-year-old in school, and he has every toy known to man. And but yet he's still having, he's seeing Pam Millenbach for counseling. He's still having outbursts and showing the effects of trauma. A prolonged period of time in this environment will offer him the most likely chance to be resilient and to regrow his brain development and to get over the lack of trust that the abuse from mom has made in him. He's afraid of mom, does not want visits with mom. He's consistent. He talked about seeing Macy, who's a caseworker, in Pam Millenbach's report, and what he told me, he is not ready for any contact. Mother's still progressing in her criminal charges, new criminal charges, still some drug screens that are showing current use, and failing. Mom is not succeeding in her case service plan with counseling and some things that she needs to do. So with respect to the father issue, I just wanted to say that in the past, I had been very protective of this XD child because he has a right to child support from someone who signed an affidavit of parentage. But now that I know the family better, he is secure in his placement, where he's been, where he wants to be. And I think that when the DNA comes, we will be able to release this legal father, who I anticipate will not be the biological father. We will have to have some good background information on the new potential father, and make sure that he has skills before he's introduced to this child. Make sure that he understands the history and is appropriate to be around this child. So we'll look forward to that dad issue on April 9th. But at this time, all of the child's needs are being met. His maternal grandmother is home full-time, and there's an adult uncle who's home all full-time, and it is a wonderful environment for this child. It is absolutely routine. All his school needs are met, his dental, medical needs are met. He's having normal holidays and traditions, and he wants to be in this placement. Thank you.
Ms. Thomas.
I can recall Ms. Moore to give her report.
Ms. Moore, come on back up to our witness stand. Thank you.
I need to be sworn in again.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
You remain under oath. Ms. Thomas, as you proceed, if you could move that microphone a little closer to you, I would appreciate it.
Yes, sure. Ms. Moore, how are you involved in this matter?
I'm the foster care worker
And how long have you been the foster care worker?
since case opening,
And about when was that?
early November.
And since that time, you have put together a case service plan for Ms. Denias, is that correct?
That's correct.
And the last time you were in court was November 2nd. Since November 2nd, have you had the opportunity to speak with Ms. Denias?
I have.
And have you had the chance during this review period to go over the case service plan with her?
I have.
Do you believe that she has an understanding of what is required of her?
Yes, I do.
And Ms. Denias is not present today, is that correct?
That is correct.
Were you able to confirm whether she knew about today's hearing?
Not necessarily, no. Yes, I would say she knew about it. We had discussed it at her last criminal hearing. That was about a week and a half ago, however. I didn't follow up and text her this morning and remind her.
Okay, but she knew that we were going to have court.
Correct.
And she did sign the case service plan.
Correct.
Okay. So how would you describe her level of compliance with and benefit from her case service plan during this review period?
She has not complied whatsoever.
And the child remains placed with a relative caregiver, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And what would be the risk of harm to the child if the court were to return the child to mother's care and custody today?
In my opinion, it would be exposure to parental substance use, parental criminality, likelihood of mental and physical abuse against the child.
One of the main conditions that cause the child to come into care is the abuse, correct?
Correct.
And has mom participated in or engaged in any services to remedy or rectify that condition?
The only service that she has engaged in is the family preservation, and she has only had 3 meetings with them. And Tyler, the conductor of that, had told me that she does not actually participate, and her aunt does most of the talking.
Can you please refresh my memory as it relates to the criminal case? Is there no contact between the child and Ms. Denias through that case?
There is, however, early January, Judge Anzalone had mentioned bringing up visitation, and I had requested that we get a therapist recommendation before visits start. So that is the reason for Pam Millenbach's therapy report and her being in the courtroom today.
Thank you for that. Which I guess I skipped over a couple of things. You prepared this court report that's in front of the court today, correct?
Correct.
And included with your court report is the case service plan, a therapist report by Ms. Millenbach, a letter from Ms. Gray regarding Ms. Denias, Ms. Denias' drug screens, and then the online ROA for the new criminal charges for Ms. Denias. Is that correct?
Correct.
Are there any other documents that have been circulated since you've submitted this court report?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. And are there any updates or modifications that you need to make to this court report, or any updates as relates to the attachments?
The only update that I would like to make is that there was a new allegation to CPS in late November stating that Cheyenne had Xavier had defecated in his pants and Cheyenne slapped him with a pull-up, put the pull-up on him, and then locked him into a dog cage. And then there was another allegation, end of December, stating that Cheyenne's ex-boyfriend had punched Xavier.
And would these allegations would they have occurred prior to the child entering care?
Correct. It would have been during that 8-week stand that he was replaced back home.
Thank you. And then so through the criminal case, Judge Anzalone considered parenting time. Ms. Millenbach provided a report, and we've read the report, but can you highlight for the record what Ms. Millenbach is recommending regarding parenting time?
The main recommendation is that parenting time does not occur. It is believed that Xavier is not ready for this interaction.
Yeah, she did say replace back home, Ed. And she said that because what we've come to learn is that this child lived in their grandparents' home with the mother, but obviously with the grandparents doing some of the parenting for most of its life. And then for approximately 8 weeks was living solo with the mother and a boyfriend, I suppose. And within that 8-week period is when this abuse is alleged to have occurred. I'm sorry, I have a whiny baby in my house whining at me, if anybody can hear. My apologies. Yeah, this is terrible. Viewer discretion is advised. I think there's a command for that, exclamation mark. I don't know, discretion. I don't even know what it is. But and please, everybody, your mental health comes first. If you can't handle this, you don't want to handle this, please come back another night and we will be doing something different. But I do think, no, not in the chat, in my actual house. Bitching about food. It's only 4:30. Yeah, also, if I don't like to joke about this, but I'll tell you right now. You would actually be charging me with an assault if somebody punched my frickin' kid, a 4-year-old. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I would absolutely tear somebody apart. I did have a baby, but 16 years ago. Yeah, I would literally tear somebody apart. No question. And I know that because even though my ex-husband was never like abusive to our daughter or mean like that, even the slightest hint, I remember this mama bear would come over me and I would howl. I would flip. And I mean, he's her dad. And I couldn't even fucking imagine. I actually can't imagine. Because to me, it would just be so like immediate and obvious. I would just probably kill the person. I would take my hard rock or hard something, my Harry Potter rock. Oh, I probably shouldn't premeditate this on the internet. Anyways.
One of Xavier's biggest triggers is just the word mom, so we have to be careful on what verbiage we are using when we're around the child and conducting home visits and sorts like that.
Is this family willing to provide permanency to this child if that is needed?
Yes, Xavier has actually been in their care for the majority of his life.
And, just to sort of refresh the record too, these grandparents had also attempted to get a guardianship, correct?
Correct.
And somehow that was denied procedurally, or?
I don't understand the reason it was denied. However, it was through the Jackson court system.
Okay. And have you had the opportunity during this review period to speak with Mr. Donnelly?
Yes, but most of it was just regarding the DNA testing.
Okay. Can you tell us whether he has intentions of being in the child's life or?
From my understanding, he does.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you for that. Is there anything from your court report that you would like to highlight for the court's attention today?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. As it relates to Ms. Nice's drug screens, there have been a couple that have come back positive. Has she shown for all of them?
Those were actually voluntary drug screens, so she did that willingly. However, as it reflects in my report, all 3 were positive for marijuana, and then 1 was positive for cocaine.
Okay, and again, I've known lots of people that do marijuana and cocaine, and ain't none of them lock their fucking kids up. That's a different thing. Maybe heavy cocaine use, but really, that's odd to me. That's abuse. It's just abuse. I don't like it.
Is there any services that she's participating in regarding the substance use?
No, because when this case first opened, there was nothing in the petition regarding substance use.
Thank you. I have no further questions of this witness. Your Honor, I move to admit the court report and its attachments.
Any objections?
No objection.
No, no objection.
No objection.
Thank you, they are received. Do we know whether or not Cheyenne is employed?
She is employed, I believe, with Hilex.
And is there a trauma assessment in the offing for the child?
Yes, it is scheduled for February 8th.
Thank you. Does he have any siblings? Do we know?
No.
Okay. Questions, Mr. Brooks?
Do you know informally what the results of the DNA test are?
No, I do not.
Okay. The boyfriend you referred to, may I assume, is not my client, Mr. Bliss, the one who's alleged to have punched the boy?
It is not your client. It is Paul Ortega.
All right.
Well, fuck you, Paul. Fucking fuck. Oh, fuck. Thank God for small miracles. There's one child. Oh, I forgot my eyebrows today. I forgot my eyebrows. This case is giving me a headache. Why did the grandparents let him out of their sight? This is the question. Why isn't she in jail? Another question. What in the fuck is going on here? When we see people in jail for petty crimes constantly, she didn't even show up for the CPS case. That should be an automatic bond violation. In fact, I think that is usually a bond condition to comply with all CPS requests for cases like that. Now, we'll find that out once I dig up the case later and we'll watch it another day. But I don't understand. I mean, I can understand the marijuana if Michigan, this is Michigan, marijuana is legal in Michigan recreationally, I think. I know it's a bond condition thing, but it's less and less something to hold somebody in jail for. Thinking to keep your kid in a cage, yeah, that I think we could go with. If they've done a reason to believe, I mean, they're trying to terminate parental rights here, it seems. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've heard of worse things. I remember, I'll never forget, ever forget, tuning in one day to a case in Texas And the lawyer was questioning this mother about whooping or whipping her baby with an electrical cord. And he was so fired up and angry about it. And the judge had to he was the prosecutor or the lawyer for the department, Mr. Smith, I remember, in front of Judge Sims. That was a nuts day. That was well before I ever recorded court, but my God, I remember just being like, and of course, at that point, there's no chat on in that room at the time, I don't think. They had turned the chat off because chat's a little weird sometimes. No offense, guys. But so there's this weird loneliness when you're watching these cases, by yourself. That's why I like doing it with you guys, and I like being able us to comment and to chat. And because there's this catharticness in the ability to sit and discuss this. Why, how, what could we do, all these different things. And when you're just alone listening to it sometimes, man, it's frustrating here. I'm yelling. I yell at the TV and wherever I've got it. Anyways, hi Tupac. Let's keep going, Pace. Still 31 minutes left.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Ms. Wilhelm?
Yes, Your Honor, just a couple of questions. So, Ms. Moore, just want to talk for a minute about that my client having known that we were having court here today. At first, you kind of mentioned that you didn't know, but then you said yes. So I just want to be sure. What do you remember about it, about talking to her?
We were in Judge Angelone's courtroom for her last criminal hearing, and she had stated that she wanted to talk to me, and I said, okay, so we talked, and she had stated, I just want to know what my last drug test came back positive for, and I said marijuana, and then she said, okay, and I said, okay, we have court next week on the 29th, so I'll see you then.
Okay.
And she had stated, okay.
And she said, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Ms. Heiss?
The screens that you're taking from Cheyenne, that's when you see her face to face?
Correct.
She's showing up very positive for THC each time, is that true?
Correct.
And also one time she was positive for cocaine, right?
Correct.
And what brought you to screen her? Did she show intoxication?
One time I had asked her to come into the office to sign her case service plan, and she had a very, very pungent odor of marijuana on her person. So I had asked her, hey, are you willing to take a drug test for me? She had stated yes. So then the next time that she came in to get her results from her previous drug screen, I had asked her, hey, you willing to take another one? She had said yes, and that is when the positive for cocaine one came back. And then when I had let her know her results on that, she had stated, well, let me come in and take another one. I don't know how that was in my system, so.
My computer's not gonna cooperate right now, but this petition was adjudicated in Jackson, correct?
I don't believe so.
Okay, the allegations are like a few sentences long, is that right?
I'm not sure on that.
Do you have any of the police reports or the details of what happened to bring this child into care?
I have some of the details. I have pictures of the injuries, and then I have spoken to a police officer regarding her criminal charges.
I wonder if you could bring those pieces into our next court report, so that we're sure we're getting, for example, she's charged with physical abuse, but maybe she was alleged to have been using drugs at the time. And we would know that if we had those police reports.
I can get those for our next hearing.
Okay.
Why would they not have that already? That seems like the basis of this whole investigation. How is that not in the file? Again, I used to get so frustrated watching these cases. Mostly because it's such a hard job. it's a hard job, it's underpaid, all these things, but just keep going.
The legal father, does he have a relationship with this child?
No.
The potential biological
I didn't
father.
hear the answer. Excuse me. I didn't hear the answer to that.
I had stated no.
Thank you.
Has the potential biological father had it, does he even know this child?
Not that I'm aware of.
Is it true that Ms. Millenbach's report recommends no contact between the child and the mother until the child is ready, correct?
Correct.
And the child is not ready at this time?
Correct.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Any redirect?
It seems baffling to me that we're 3 months into this case without a police report. I'm like trying to figure out if we're missing something or if this is just the ineptitude of this system. And once again, this is not a personal attack on anybody working within the system with limited resources, even more limited time, and no money. But at the very best, ugh, I don't know. 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 It also really hurt me that that child, they said that mom is now a trigger word for that kid. That's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. That's just absolutely terrible.
Just one question, Your Honor, based on your question, Ms. Moore, in the trauma assessments, there's usually a bonding component, a bonding assessment component. Given the recommendations by Ms. Millenbach and what has been reported by the LGL and your knowledge of the case, would you be asking for Ms. Denias to participate in that bonding assessment component?
No, I have it set up that his current placement will do the bonding assessment with him.
His grandparents? His current placement, his grandparents? Ah. You guys, most of us have been watching or being, all these cases longer than this girl has that's on the stand right now, Miss Moore. No, nothing against her, but she said she just started her job in October when this case started. So this is one of her first cases.
Given that this is a reunification case for now, I'm just curious, I think the court's probably curious, how do you foresee this dyad, mom and child, reconnecting? What do we need to see from mom in order for us to even think about putting services in place for that reunification?
I'll start with Xavier, if that's okay. With Xavier, I believe that it is best for him to continue therapy with Ms. Millenbach, kind of get over that initial, I don't want to say trauma because it's going to be ongoing, but that initial hump of the issues. And then for Ms. Denias, I think it's necessary for her to do her psychological. I know that had been previously canceled due to Dr. Haugen, but it is rescheduled and it is expected for her to go. I also think it's appropriate for her to follow any recommendations from that psychological. And I think it's important for her to kind of get her head on straight. She doesn't really have appropriate housing. She doesn't have appropriate transportation. She's not testing negative for drug screens. So kind of start at the baseline and get her set up so then she can worry about Xavier after she's good.
Thank you for that. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Have you approached the grandparent placement about licensing? Are they applying for licensing?
I do not believe they are.
Would you be willing to explore that with them in the next?
Absolutely.
All right, any other questions, counselors?
No.
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. May I return to your seat? Your next witness, Ms. Thomas.
I have no further witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks?
Eagerly awaiting the results of the DNA test. I have nothing, no witnesses to present.
Ms. Wilhelm?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
I have no witnesses, thank you.
All right, I would like to hear from the counselor. I know Ms. Millenbach is here with us today. Come on up to our witness stand.
You swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
There's a step there, be careful.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So the standard that the court has to look at with regard to whether or not to suspend visitation, and I understand that in this case, we also have bond conditions that prohibit contact. But should that change, the standard that I have to look at is whether or not there's a risk of harm associated with allowing a child to have time with that parent. So if you could talk to me a little bit about your work with the child, his diagnoses, and whether or not you think there would be a risk of harm to him, mentally, emotionally, physically, if visitation with his mother were to be ordered.
Xavier has been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder for children under 6 and younger. He is a victim of severe abuse. He is experiencing complex trauma, which means that this has been ongoing, particularly since the visit in August. But it is believed that it happened before that, based on what he has been telling me. I've been making weekly visits since the end of November with him, and they've been approximately 2 hours. Part of it has consisted of individual therapy with him, beginning with play therapy, just to give him several weeks, several visits of just getting to know me, to trust me. It only took 3 of those before he totally opened up about what had happened to him. And it goes back to a time when his mother was living in the home of the grandparents who were caring for him most of his life. And apparently this would all happen in the bedroom, the things that he described to me. He's very expressive, very bright young boy. He's only 4 years old, but it's amazing to hear the vocabulary this little boy has. He's very friendly, he's very social. What is happening now is when he returned in August, he was reportedly starting to say things to his grandparents. As he walked into the house, and the first thing he did was pull up his sleeve and show them the bite mark. And then that was his first opening up about what was going on. And then he continued to make different allegations at that point. And I think they were advised to call in CPS to let them know. So there is an extensive CPS history on this case. I was asked in November to open up the case because the court wished an opinion on how to proceed with this. The first day I went in there, I knew nothing about the case basically, except we have a little boy who's in need of help right now. So what I noticed, the very first thing about him was that anytime you went near him, he flinched, which is a sign of here we have a child who has been hit, who has been kicked. All these things go through your mind. What has happened to this child that he would flinch, even at a new person? When I knew the grandparents had prepared him, oh, Pam, the person named Pam is coming to see you. And now he's had other people coming into the house, and he's very much been open with them. Just since I've been working with him, there have been several allegations that have been called in, and so different workers have gone there. Even his Heist was in there just last week, and he opened up to her about what has happened. What happened was after the third visit, at the 4th visit, he started to open up about being hit, being kicked, being pinched, having this, and he would demonstrate it. He demonstrates with the vocabulary this little boy has, he's able to talk and he role plays everything. Like this, my mom would do this every week since that 4th visit. He shows this, he goes into this.
So the record should reflect, Ms. Millenbach is demonstrating with her hands being choked. Is that?
Yes, and he also has said that she would pick him up like this, by his head, basically. It wants to make you cry to know that a 4-year-old boy has been through this type of treatment. And it's worse. When he told me about the bite, it was the first time he opened up, and he pulls up his sleeve, whichever one it was, and he said, here, she hit me here, and here, and here. And then he pulls it up and look. And at that point, the scar was still there, it's still apparent. But there were these big bite marks in it. Then, well, this is what happens after he talks about his mom, or even hearing someone say the word mom. He gets down on the floor, face down, starts kicking, screaming. He goes into a rage. He has a very hard time getting out of it because once a child gets into that, their brain cannot accommodate. He's totally overwhelmed with what has happened to him. This is why I'm calling this complex trauma, because this has gone on. This is since last August, when he came back to his grandparents' house and felt safe again. And it was in an environment where he trusted the people who were with him, and he's extremely attached to the grandparents. That's the primary caregiver there. He gets down on the floor and will go under a table or behind a couch, bang his head, take his fists and actually go like this to his head. Grandma will come and she's able to help him to self-regulate. She's very soothing with him. Sometimes it's grandpa. If grandma is not available right at that moment, they're very alert. They're in the other room and they're hearing this. And then usually in the first hour that I'm with them, I have grandma there. I meet with him usually at the beginning for about an hour, just kind of playing with him. And then we move into a family therapy session. Grandma and grandpa both come in and are part of that. And Cody is older, but the older young man who lives in the house, who's the son of the parents there, his parents, he will come in and out and join in this too when he feels like it is. There's just a beautiful relationship there. But the important part of that is that grandma and grandpa are there they help him just to soothe him. And they will get him out from under the table. They'll get him out from behind the couch, hold him, rock him, talk with him. And he has the ability to converse with adults very, very well, back and forth. And that will soothe him. But meanwhile, all of this has come out. So we've got a very difficult situation here with a little boy who has been so badly traumatized that it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a very long time for this boy, his brain. He has talked about things that happened prior to that were happening in the bedroom. Because what my understanding is, Mom would keep him in the bedroom when she was living in the home for some time. She'd be in and out of the home. And then she would go off and live somewhere else usually with one of her boyfriends. And then she would appear back. But they could hear that this is when the grandparents started realizing something's going on in that bedroom because they would hear her crying. But he at that point did not have the ability to even realize that this was not okay. But since his language has developed and his brain is just top notch, so the healing of this boy is going to take a long time, put it that way. For him to see at this point, to see his mother, he says the question he asks me all the time, are you going to make me see my mother? Do I have to go and be with my mother again? How do I answer it? I don't know how to answer it. I have to say no. What he
Don't
said to me
answer,
last
say,
Friday,
in
he
fact, a
calls
judge will
the-
make that. Hey! I'm talking! Hi, Christy. This one's a tough one. This is a very sad case. Trigger warning. Oh, maybe it's exclamation mark trigger. This is a sad case, MB. I'm gonna find her criminal case. We'll watch that soon. If I can, you know. Is this not child hearsay? Is that excluded because it's oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. So isn't it hearsay, child hearsay? I'm confused. Because usually, like, therapists and stuff talk in this weird way where they don't make actual recommendations necessarily. And the judge said that. She goes, I just need you to tell me whether or not there's a risk of harm for this child again. I think the answer to that is a thundering fucking yes. I don't know why we're wasting all this time and energy on this, but lightening the mood, William. Look at that. Thank you so much, Miss Orlando Chiquita. This is a rough case, though. Please be warned if you're just joining us. This is a rough case we've been watching. Serious allegations. Oh, maybe. Oh, don't make promises you can't keep, Paisley. But maybe if I get on it and I find the case, I'll do court tomorrow in the morning.
He calls the court the company. And I believe that's because his dad works for a company, and so he's heard this word company. Please tell the company that I don't want to go see my mom. I want to stay here. And he's very sincere in that. And I'm trying to respect that, not only for everybody, for the sake of this little boy. We've got a boy who's a little child here, who's very much in need, where he feels stable, where he feels safe, where he's very attached is with the grandparents. So basically my recommendation would be to keep him there. What that involves is with his mom, I cannot see visits. I don't know when. I can't predict when. Even I've worked with one boy who the same thing happened to when he was 6 years old, and he's now 17. And he just now, it was his father who would kick him in the stomach, kick him in the chest. He just now is beginning to feel comfortable seeing his father. We don't know. I can predict he's gonna. I've been working with children and families my whole professional life, but since this whole trauma and research is coming out now, that is, we're able to see the developing brain of a child. This child's brain has been severely damaged. I think I'm waiting to get the CTEC report. I think that's going to be very helpful in giving ideas beyond what we're already doing, in what will help with that healing, what's going to be the best way forward for him. And whether based on that assessment, whether a visit would look appropriate. At this point, it does not for me. So
you don't have to apologize to me. I just need to know what's happening so I can make the most well-informed decision I can. So I appreciate your perspective. If you ever felt that you wanted some additional resources or referrals for the foster parents, for the relatives, would you be comfortable making those and asking for those?
I'm already giving them, I'm giving them readings on trauma, on parenting skills. They read them, they discuss them, They discuss them between themselves, they discuss them with me, I always do that. That will continue. They will get those. I know they themselves have been going to individual therapy. They're going to couples counseling. They're well engaged already in all of that. And, one of the things that I have noticed that they responded to immediately at the very first visit, that he has a fascination with like guns and swords and things like that. And it's the violence. And so we spoke about that, and I said, I would recommend that he wants to play with them. He's excited about playing with guns. And I said, I would recommend that you remove those from your house, because we have to do a shift in them. This kid has experienced violence very directly toward him. And so he's acting it out in his play. You see it, he takes dinosaurs, what does he do with them? Crashes, or they're killing each other, they're biting each other, eating each other up. His little toys, there's a lot of that going on there.
Okay, but I think that's what dinosaurs do. That seems incredibly age-appropriate play to me. Dinosaurs eating each other? Seriously, I'm not trying to minimize any of this. I don't think that this child should go back to his mother at this point in time at all. But I don't think that using an example of a 4-year-old boy making dinosaurs bite each other as good evidence of that, it just doesn't strike me as the right piece of evidence. The pew pew comment, yes. Okay, that's a big one that we talk about. Perfect. But dinosaurs, we know dinosaurs. Listen, how is this dinosaur week on KCC? We had a dinosaur case last night about dinosaurs. The dinosaur picture business. Tonight we have a dinosaur relation. Oh my God. Like, thanks for being here, guys. I love y'all.
So they basically, the next time I got to the house, they were gone. So we're retraining his brain, basically. Those circuits in his brain, we're trying to get them back to some normalcy. Right now, it's just basically it's been eight visits that I've had in the last 2 months. And basically is helping him with relaxation techniques. How he's already able to identify his emotions, which is wonderful. That's usually the first step with trauma therapy. He already knows and is able to identify how he is. This is how bright he is. And but the next step is, okay, now let's get him. How can he relax? How can he self-regulate? And it's hard for him because he's thinking so fast, he's moving so fast. It's hard for him to sit down and just relax and take those deep breaths and all the other things that we teach them with trauma therapy. So I'm ready to go with the trauma therapy, but I don't at this point want to see having to add to it visits with mother, because this will regress. We will see total regression at that point, and it might put him over the edge. I'm afraid of that. There's a deep fear in him. And that's why I told the story about the 17-year-old boy who's still carrying around this what if. This boy is at least 6'3", just like his dad right now. And he's afraid of his father still. To be alone with him, he's still saying, what if?
Well, thank you. I'm gonna just ask you to wait 1 more minute to see if any of our other attorneys have questions. Mr. Brooks?
No, thank you.
Ms.
I've heard
Malone?
enough.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Your Honor, part of me wants to nerd out with Ms. Mellenbach about brain development, all those things. So I'm trying to think of the best way to ask this. Ms. Mellenbach, brain development sort of happens from the bottom up, right? Reptilian brain, mammalian brain, emotional brain, cognitive brain. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that would be fair. I could go into a class on that. So
okay. And so when children experience trauma, the base of their brain, their body, that reptilian brain. Can you, I don't want to get into too much.
What did she, hold on. What did she just say? Did she say reptilian brain? Is that the dinosaur brain? Like, what is happening here? I want to also, again, now I got to look at the ASL interpreters. I want to see how they interpret reptilian brain.
Emotional brain, cognitive brain. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that would be fair. I could go into a class on that, so.
Okay. And so when children experience trauma, the base of their brain, their body, that reptilian brain, can you, I don't want to get into too much.
She spelled it. She spelled it. Hi, Chris Engelby. Hope everything's well, friend. She spelled it. I think she did the spelling of reptilian instead of a dinosaur, which I wanted to see.
Testimony here, but overall my question is, with the dysregulation that the body experiences and the brain experiences, and that amygdala firing, when a child is with a caregiver who cannot co-regulate or understand that, is there a risk of harm to that child?
Yes, there is. The fear that's there, it's his brain is already, it's into that. He brings it back. He's constantly bringing it back. You hope to get to the point where the child will finally be able to sit down, or as a little bit older, when they're able to write things down and do their narrative, or act it out through role play, through playhouse therapy, through dancing, through music, through any of those fine arts that we can use as therapy for children.
But even when that happens, right, even when the child has an ability to sort of express him or herself and find that regulation and be able to know that the threat is not necessarily imminent and that amygdala sort of calms down a little bit, what is the risk of harm when the caregiver doesn't have the same understanding? The caregivers are unable, and I guess I'm going to spell it out. What would be the risk if this child 2 years from now returns back to Ms. Denias, who might not have done the work, so to speak, doesn't understand how to.
Why would it even matter what happens 2 years from now? What about what happens 2 fucking weeks from now? If she's not done any of the work, they're not going back. These are fucking dumb questions. If you have proof that she locked this kid up in a fucking cage, okay, and bit him and left fucking marks, I'm feeling pretty good about a termination here. Especially if she's not even engaging. It would be so different if she was sitting at that table begging for another chance, doing everything her caseworker said. But no.
Parent doesn't understand how to self or co-regulate with this child. What is the risk?
It would cause further harm to the child. The interactions that would be there. My understanding from what I've heard is that at the point of I understand that she has admitted to all this. The mom has admitted to what she did do to the child, but there was no remorse shown. That's why she needs a psychological evaluation. I think when we see that, we're going to be very overwhelmed with that ourselves. So I don't think this is just substance abuse. The therapist at our agency did see her, and she immediately, the idea was to start her in individual therapy, and she said, I can't see her until I have a psych eval.
Your Honor, I'm going to object. I don't think Ms. Wellenbach actually talked to Mr. Denias and the
No, I
question
haven't
is
talked to
about.
her. No, this is from the therapist.
Well, no, I understand and very much appreciate your candor all of the way here, but I think that the question is about Xavier.
Any response?
My question is more about the risks of harm to child. The child, if the caregiver has not, I guess, obtained or gone through the same work to understand the trauma and understand how to co-regulate the child. So I think there is an element of Ms. Nias thing.
Wait, they don't have a psychological yet? They haven't even ordered a psychological? They don't have the police report. They haven't ordered a psychological. Who's dropped the ball on this case?
And it is a review hearing, so the rules of evidence don't apply, and hearsay can come in for whatever weight the court deems necessary. So I think it would be an appropriate.
Miss Donna, thank you so much. Congratulations on reaching 1,000 subscribers. So exciting for you. You are awesome, Miss Donna says. Miss Orlando Chiquita, you are awesome, in fact. Love you. Thank you so much. I couldn't have done it with all of you. And most especially you, Miss Donna. Now, Streamlabs. I don't know if you understand. Your job is on the line, buddy. Your job is on the line. Put her super chat up so I can thank Miss Orlando Chiquita, please. This is embarrassing. I'm gonna switch providers if you don't stop. You don't figure this shit out, dude. Oh my God. Donna, I'm so sorry. I appreciate your super chat. I don't know what Streamlabs is talking about tonight.
I would agree. I would also note, Ms. Wilhelm, that that information that Ms. Millenbach is referring to is also contained in the court report. So there has been an update that would allow her to have that information more than one way. And I think her using it in her analysis is appropriate. So thank you. I appreciate your perspective, but I am not overruling your judgment.
Thank you.
You may continue if you like.
Did I answer your question well enough?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for everything.
Any questions, Ms. Heiss?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time and your testimony.
You're welcome.
All right, based on that, does anyone else have any witnesses or just closings?
No. Your Honor, actually, no additional witnesses. But for closing purposes, I typically don't do this, but I would ask that this court have a combined review permanency planning hearing at our next review hearing. I'm hopeful that by then we might have the CTAC report done and more information on paternity and understand whether there is a biological father who's able, willing to meet the needs of this child, or whether a petition would be needed. But based on what we've seen in the report today and Ms. Millenbach's testimony, and I just read a court order that the Supreme Court and DHS are working on efforts to secure permanence within 12 months. And I think that particularly for this case, that we should be within those 12 months to achieve that. So I'm going to ask for that to be a combined hearing at our next review. Thank you.
Any comments, Ms. Wilhelm?
No comments, Your Honor. Thank you. In the absence of my client.
Ms. Heiss?
No comments, thank you.
All right, the court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review hearing, and that does include Mom, who was here with us at the last hearing, which was the initial disposition, wherein the case services plan became part of the court's order, and the rule upon which progress is to be gauged. I do not find that she's made progress in the last report period. If anything, we have more damaging information coming out as far as additional criminal charges, as well as some, we'll say, delay in getting started with her services. So I cannot find that she's made any progress in the last report period. Her absence today, as well as from her last circuit court case hearing, is also concerning. We have a child who has increased needs. We heard about that extensively from Ms. Millenbach today. There's also a lot of information about that in the court report and the attachments, which do constitute reasonable efforts towards the goal of reunification, spearheaded, of course, by Ms. Moore. Thank you. Thank you also to Ms. Heiss for her time and efforts as guardian ad litem, that you're certainly in satisfaction of your obligations as well. Thank you also to our attorney advocates for your time and efforts today. It will be the order of the court that the case be reviewed for permanency at our next court hearing on Tuesday, April 9th at 1:30 p.m. In addition to looking at that pretrial issue as it relates to the fathers for legal parentage and the DNA test results to come in. But I think that it is important in this case for this child to look at permanency given his increased needs and what he's been through and where we are at with mom's lack of progress altogether. There is a significant risk of harm associated with returning this child to either parent at this point. Ms. Denias is not here, he's not engaged.
Yay! Did I pitch for him? Uh-oh. I hope I didn't. I was writing on my calendar, which I've taken down from the wall. I've beside me now. Oh my god, you guys! Thank you, Tupac. 10% subscribers. We're 10% to 100,000? No. 1% to 100,000. Thank you, Chris Engelby. Oh, you're so sweet. We're thinking of you. I could reach 1,000. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I wrote down here dog cage mom and then the case number and court. We also have that thirsting CPO coming up in March. And yes, I hit my 1K, baby. Am I kitsch framed? I don't know if I am. Anyways, let's finish listening to this and then we're done for the evening. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for all your support always. Super helpful. You wouldn't even believe it. If you are wanting more after this, check out the video I made and posted today about the tiny TPO from yesterday. It's under 10 minutes long, full case, full of crazy.
Services to alleviate the risk of harm to physical, mental, emotional harm of her child, which were well reviewed, and the record reflects that today. Mr. Bliss does not have a relationship, as I understand it, with the child. So at this point, and he's waiting to the ANA, so that's not an appropriate placement. The child is doing well with his relatives, and we appreciate their efforts as well to support him and to educate themselves around what his challenges are. So that is certainly the safest and least restrictive place for this child at this time. That will remain the order of the court moving forward. And I will also suspend the parenting time of Cheyenne Denias based on the information that I heard today, as well as what's contained in the court hearing. It's clear that there is a significant risk of harm to his mental and emotional health, but potentially also to his physical health, given that she's failed to engage in any services to address those issues. And we have seen a demonstration in the past that she is not able to regulate herself around her child, even in supervised settings, to prevent her from physically harming him. We heard a lot about how that's affected him up till today. So it will be the order of the court that her parenting time be suspended, regardless of what happens with the circuit court case. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today. We'll see you at 1:30 on Tuesday, April 9th for our second review of mom's case. And of course, the first permanency planning hearing and another pretrial as it relates to the parentage on the father's side. Questions? Thank you. That's all for today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wow, 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 wow. That was intense. Give me 1 second. Just want to exit out of that. And come back over here. Well, we'll chat for just a minute before we get going. That was a terrible case. I'm really glad to hear that at the end. Oh, we could raid. Here, you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna do it proper, Tupac. I'll make it raid properly. But you guys give me a minute. and it'll be sort of choppy for a minute. So let me just say what I'm the don't I don't even know what to say about it. The case just it hurts me inside. It makes me sad. It makes me just upset for the kid. I'm wondering why grandparents let out of their custody to begin with. But these are all questions that perhaps we'll find answer to. I've got it written down on a calendar. Give me one moment. I will literally redirect this live properly. Because I'm a YouTuber now. I have 1,000 subs. And I'm a real YouTuber now. So give me 1 second. Redirect us there. Oh, 1,011. Content. Just talk it through with y'all. Oh, I need a new computer so badly. It's not even funny. It's on the list. There we go. There we go. Okay, redirect. Show more. Customization. Here, go redirect. Add a redirect. We're going to go to. I thought. Oh, can I speak to your supervisor? There it is. Okay. Perfection. Save. Done. Okay, good. Okay. We're gonna just give it one more minute before we close off so that it hopefully gets us there. You guys, thank you so much. Oh, I'll never forget you guys. What do you think? How would I forget you? Never. Never ever. Never ever ever. Never ever 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 ever. Seriously, I won't. I'm like I like the new shirt. I'll wear all pop shirts if I get them. Anyways, okay, let's go raid Colin. I'm gonna end the stream. It will take you there, so just wait and it should redirect you and it'll pop up and say raid from KCC, which will look sort of cool. But before I do that, please remember that I love you. I am proud of you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye. Make sure to give Colin a hard time for me.